Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review episode 257. This I'm reviewing the 257th episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. Konohamaru who becomes Hokage? Yes. So, basically, the beginning of this episode is the setup for the next week's episode. Yes, seriously. It's like they really want to do that one, but that wasn't ready yet, but they want to do this. Basically, this probably was ready first before the next one. So here we go. We have Konoha. Yeah, basically, episode started out with Shikamaru in Naruto's office, and yes, it still has the gigantic stack of papers he's got. He still has not got to read all the paperwork. Like, wow, why is it taking so long with that paperwork? You could, I don't know, shadow clones. Make the job a lot easier. So he's watching one of the Shinobi movies, a very popular one. Which, here's the thing, the last time the actor who actually plays this guy popped up in this series way back in the Ghost arc. And we finally bring this character back. I'm like, why the heck take so long to bring this guy back for? Like, here's the thing. This is the first time in 5 years this character's been seen in the show. Yes, seriously. And yes, it has been 5 years since viewing the show. Viewing the show since March of 2017. That's when the series started, and now I've been reviewing for a little over 5 years now. Yeah, by far, this is like still right now one of my two longest running anime review series. This was actually running a little bit longer than One Piece. I would say that One Piece is my second longest one. It's run close to that much. I think 5 years, actually be a couple months. And in the case of my third longest one, it's got to be case closed. Now, right after, basically, while I was watching this, Konohamaru begins with his mission report. What the mission report was, do not know. Basically, this is sort of a loose follow-up to Parent-Child Day way back in episode 93. Yeah, so they won a ticket to go for a hot springs vacation with Himawari. Yeah, my guess is actually from that very episode. So way back in episode 93, which aired 4 years ago. So we have follow-up to that one. So they went hot spring, and of course he completely forgot that he actually was asked to do this. So he was asked to Konohamaru to be a stand-in for him as Hokage in the movie. Interesting. And he's the best choice because he's known Naruto a long time. And also he does all his movesets. And he can basically pull up being Naruto no problem. He's done it before. Yes, back when Naruto became Hokage. He had to do a stand-in. He had a stand-in for him. And plus, there's even a reference in here to, of all things, the day Naruto became Hokage. That's short. Yeah, those references. It's like, oh yeah, knock out the chakra points. Yeah, I like the fact we reference that too. Like, wow, we have like 2 episodes referenced here, and a character being brought back. Really good so far. So, we have Konohamaru being asked, hey, I'm Konohamaru. I'm standing in for Lord 7th. Like, cool. And given the script. And he has not even opened up the book yet. And they're immediately shooting. And they're using CGI instead of... And by the way, all this is shot indoors. And apparently, this is the 7th film in the series. And the reason why it's like this is because the new producer. His idea, don't do outside shoots. Don't use practical effects. Now, here's the thing. That is nothing unusual. Nothing usual about that. I've heard stuff about some producers have different ideas for movies over what the director wants. Yes, this is perfectly normal for this to happen. And so, basically, they shoot the scene and they have a guy playing Shikamaru, and he sounds nothing like him at all. Yeah, even basically, Konohamaru points out because he knows Shikamaru. So, in order to get more flashing, because they have another day of shooting. So they do entire day shooting outside. Yes. And basically Konohamaru got permission from the city because, well, he is a Jonin, so he is able to do this. Oh yeah, and plus also, he's basically no friend of Konohamaru's. Naruto. So he's able to, because of the fact he's also the grandson of the beloved third Hokage, because he was just as beloved as the 4th Hokage. He's basically gets a pull, no problem at all. Just So they start off, do all the shooting, no problem, on the fly. Heck, we have the camera basically holding the side of this like guardrail. We had to have the, I think it's the assistant director. He's holding him on with with a woman who's with him basically. So get this, no problem. The producer himself basically didn't like the fact he did this. So they basically fired him all this. Well, first the director got fed up with the producer's nonsense, so he punched him. And they fired all the actor, everybody, all like they fired the director, the assistant director, the makeup artist, and the cameraman all on the spot. Konohamaru was the only mute being fired because basically the studio does not want him fired. So they all go out to go have some owning, all get drunk. So they decided to do something quite ingenious because, well, you have Konohamaru show up there, and then all of a sudden, basically just by pure randomness, because the assistant director was making some money out to film some more scenes, a bank robbery just happens to assume that point. Yes, a bank robbery. Oh, and by the way, before I continue here, it's revealed that the actor who plays Hinaro has got back problems. Yes, because he's not dangerous studs, so basically he suffered through back problems. Yeah, this is nothing unusual. This actually is perfectly natural for actors who do their own stunts do actually suffer some injuries. This is perfectly normal, and this is how I read about, so that's how I kind of know this. Have I met a live action actor who actually has suffered through an injury? Not really, no. I have met some live action actors. Yes. One of them basically I've spoken about is Dr. Catherine Sutherland about when Steve Carranos, from when he was shooting the Turner movie, he suffered a back injury during shooting. And that was legit. According to her, that was completely legit. That was not made up movie. He was suffering from a legit back injury. And I was trying to ask her this, and she gave me a straight answer. She didn't give me an answer about this, about when the nostalgia critics had poked fun at it. To me, it felt like it was insulting the man who actually suffered a real life injury. If I meet Steve Carranos, I will basically ask about that. Yes, I will ask him about that, see how he felt about that particular review. Catherine Soto didn't say anything much of the scene at all. So, actors who get injured on set, that's all legit. So basically, you have Konohamaru still cosplaying as Naruto. He fights the bank robbers. One of his guys exploding bomb, of course, to mention about doing Rasengan. And he mentioned to the assistant that he can do Rasengan no problem because he was taught by Naruto. Which I believe this is actually the only guy Naruto's actually taught the Rasengan to. Now, as people who know Rasengan, as people who currently know how to use it per se, there's not many people in the Elite Village knows it. You have Konohamaru, Boruto, Naruto himself, Kakashi knows it too. Well, probably do the copying. And I believe also it's also shown that Sasuke can do it too, but he only used it once. But just those few of them ones left because everybody else is pretty much gone. So they do the bank robbery, and of course, to set up this exploding paper. Now, I should point out something though about the exploding paper. Okay, that is a ninja trick exclusively for this series. I have never actually seen exploding paper done in any other series featuring ninjas. This is the only one I've seen that does this. And it is interesting, though, the fact they use exploding paper. As a matter of fact, there was a whole two-part and original episode in the original original Naruto series where we had this guy explaining explosives all over Hindley Village, and a couple of them actually were older exploding paper. Yep. And the people who were sent to find them were, in fact, the elders. They were actually asked by, because they had no other shinobi available, so why not send the elders? They're trained shinobi too. And they found older papers, particular paper that's not used anymore. So, as for this is the one, now, appearance-wise, this is not the same one they used in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. This looks like an updated version of that one. So, it looks like the thing is about to explode, but look how Konohamaru puts it out via his Rasengan. And apparently the sponsors of the movie were not happy about the fact that the people who were doing this thing were actually fired. So they'll basically direct reverse their firing and basically do what the heck they want. and do the last scene via CGI. Yeah, episode basically ends up with a very nice note here. I gotta say, this actually was a really fun episode. It's a good, basically, kind of poking fun, at least basically going a little bit, some stuff basically, poking fun stuff, some stuff people in the movie industry for the stuff they do, when producers would act this way. Now, I personally have I've never met a producer at all who does something like this. Now, I'm sure other actors have met producers who probably act the way this guy does. But basically, usually, a lot of the stuff producers do, they have to prove a lot of the stuff the director wants to do. There are some the director can't approve, but the final say goes to the producer. That's basically how it works for all movies. Yep. But, good episode. Next week is the Hot Springs episode. Oh, yes. I am so looking forward to this one. The entire Uzumaki family. Naruto, Boruto, Hinata, Himawari, even Kawaki, because he adopted him. The 5 of them are going at the Hot Springs, which I'm so happy we're going to chance to see this in the series. Now, in case you're curious, though, is this the very first Hot Springs episode of Boruto that features a hot spring? The answer is yes. Yes. Yeah, this is the first. Well, actually, no. Scratch that. This actually is the second time. Because they did feature this in a episode of the Steam Ninja Scrolls. That was probably the last time that they featured a hot spring. Now, if you're curious, though, did they feature hot springs Naruto Not Just Rooted? Yes, several times. Both early on, both series, but later on they decided to stop doing it. But in the case of this is only the second time in almost 260 episodes we actually have hot springs, which I'm so looking forward to this. And also, speaking of hot springs, looks like Mari's coming back because she was part of the last one, so why not have her make an appearance? So looking forward to this for next week's episode. And yes, that is pretty much it for this particular review. Just a damn good episode. Thoroughly enjoyable to watch. Yep. But yeah, that's it for this particular review. If I have another video coming, it'll be something because I have no other videos planned. This was the last one I planned to do because if you think about it, this is only like the third video I've done all day. Yeah, and usually Sunday I have a little bit more, but this is the only I planned. Yeah. If we're going to have more, it'll be something. If not, well, don't worry about it. And if you're curious, though, when's next new anime supposed to air? Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday. Okay, next video. Bye.